Vague, not thinking, adjective. Showing that someone is not thinking clearly or does not understand. His explanation was vague, leaving the methodology unclear. Vaguely, adverb. In a way that is not clear or certain. She vaguely remembered the previous trial results. Vain, appearance, adjective. Too interested in your own appearance and thinking you are very attractive. The young scientist was surprisingly vain about her presentation style. Validity, noun. How true or reasonable something is. The validity of the experimental results was confirmed through multiple repetitions. Value, money, a verb. To judge how much money something could be sold for. The rare mineral was valued highly due to its scarcity. Vandalism, noun. The crime of intentionally damaging things in public places. Laboratory equipment was damaged as a result of vandalism. Vanish into thin air, idiom. To suddenly disappear in a mysterious way. The chemical sample seemed to vanish into thin air due to a leak. Vanity, noun. When someone thinks they are very attractive and is too interested in their own appearance. Her vanity did not interfere with her scientific work. Variation, different thing, noun. Something that is slightly different from the usual form. Genetic variation contributes to diversity within populations. Velvet, noun. Cloth that has a thick, soft surface on one side. The telescope lens was protected using a piece of velvet cloth. Vent your anger, frustration, etc., verb. To do or say something to show your anger or another strong, bad feeling. He vented his frustration after the failed experiment. Venture, noun. A new activity or business. Starting a biotech venture requires both scientific knowledge and business acumen. Venture into, outside, etc., verb. To leave a safe place and go somewhere that may involve risks. The scientists ventured into the dense rainforest to study rare species. Verbal, spoken, adjective. Spoken and not written. The instructions were verbal, given during the fieldwork briefing. Verbal, words, adjective. Relating to words or the use of words. His verbal explanation clarified the complex chemical reaction. Verdict, noun. A decision made in a court of law or by a person in authority. The jury delivered a unanimous verdict after reviewing all evidence. Versatile, person, adjective. Having many different skills. The lab technician is versatile, skilled in both microscopy and statistical analysis. Versatile, thing, adjective. Useful for doing a lot of different things. Graphene is a versatile material used in electronics, composites, and energy storage. Very, adverb. Used to emphasize a noun. The study focused on the very core of cellular metabolism. Veteran, a long time, noun. Someone who has done a job or activity for a long time. The veteran ecologist led the biodiversity survey for over 3 decades. Veteran, military person, noun. Someone who has been in an army or navy during a war. The veteran scientist shared insights from his years in military-funded research projects. Viable, adjective. Effective and able to be successful. CRISPR technology is a viable tool for gene editing in medical research. Vice, a noun. Something bad that someone often does. Procrastination is a common vice among students of experimental sciences. Vicious, upsetting, adjective. Intended to upset someone. The report contained a vicious critique of the experimental methodology. Vicious, violent, adjective. Violent and dangerous. A vicious storm caused extensive damage to coastal research facilities. View, opinion, the verb. To have a particular opinion about someone or something. Many scientists view climate change as the most pressing issue of our time. View, position, noun. A position from which something can be seen. The observatory offered a panoramic view of the volcanic crater. View, watch, verb. To watch something. Researchers viewed the migratory patterns of birds using satellite tracking. Villager, noun. Someone who lives in a village. Villagers assisted the environmental team in mapping local plant species. Violate, verb. To not obey a law, rule, or agreement. The company violated environmental regulations by dumping chemical waste into the river. Violence, extreme force, noun. Extreme force and energy, especially of something causing damage. The hurricane unleashed immense violence on coastal ecosystems. Violent, damage, adjective. Sudden and causing damage. The earthquake caused violent shaking that destroyed infrastructure. Virgin, adjective. Virgin land, forest, etc. has not been used or damaged by people. The expedition explored virgin rainforest previously untouched by human activity. Virgin, noun. Someone who has never had sex. This sense is non-scientific and less relevant for scientific example sentences. Virtue, advantage, noun. An advantage or useful quality. The portability of solar panels is a virtue for remote research stations. Virtue, good quality, noun. A good quality that someone has. Patience is a virtue essential for long-term field research. Virtue, moral behavior, noun. Behavior that is morally good. Scientific integrity is a virtue expected in all research practices. Visibly, adverb. In a way that can be seen. The chemical reaction caused the solution to change color visibly. Vitality, noun. Energy and strength. The vitality of the coral reef ecosystem was monitored over several years. Vitally, adverb. In a very important way. It is vitally important to maintain sterile conditions in the lab. Vivacious, adjective. A vivacious person, especially a woman, is full of energy and enthusiasm. The vivacious researcher inspired her team to complete the experiment ahead of schedule. Vocation, a noun. A strong feeling that you are right for a particular type of work, or a job that gives you this feeling. She discovered her vocation in marine biology after years of volunteering. Vocational, adjective. Vocational education and skills prepare you for a particular type of work. Vocational training in laboratory techniques is essential for aspiring biotechnologists. Voice, verb. To say what you think about a particular subject. He voiced his concerns regarding the ethical implications of the study. Volume, book, noun. A book, especially one of a set. The library holds the complete volume on environmental chemistry. Voluntarily, adverb. If you do something voluntarily, nobody has forced you to do it. The volunteers worked voluntarily to clean up the polluted river. Vomit, verb. If someone vomits, the food or liquid that was in their stomach comes up and out of their mouth. Seasickness caused several crew members to vomit during the oceanographic survey. Voter, a noun. A person who votes or who has a legal right to vote, especially in an election. The voter turnout reached an all-time high in the local election. Vow, I noun. A serious promise or decision. He made a vow to pursue renewable energy research throughout his career. Vow or verb. To make a serious promise or decision. The government vowed to reduce carbon emissions by 2030. Vulnerable, adjective. Easy to hurt or attack physically or emotionally. Endangered species are particularly vulnerable to habitat destruction. War, to stop, noun. An attempt to stop something bad or illegal. The campaign was a war to stop illegal poaching in national parks. Warehouse, I noun. A large building for storing goods that are going to be sold. The laboratory supplies were kept in a temperature-controlled warehouse. Wary, adjective. If you are wary of someone or something, you do not trust them completely. Scientists were wary of preliminary results published without peer review. Water, mouth, verb. If food makes your mouth water, it makes you want to eat it, sometimes making your mouth produce liquid. The aroma of freshly baked bread made the students' mouths water. Wave, group, a noun. A group of people or things that arrive or happen together or in a short period of time. A wave of volunteers arrived to assist in the environmental cleanup. Wave, hand, noun. When you raise your hand and move it from side to side in order to attract someone's attention or say goodbye. He gave a small wave to the audience before starting his presentation. Way, free space, a noun. The space needed for a particular movement or action. The technician cleared a way for the robot to move through the lab safely. Weaken, lose confidence, a verb. To become less certain or determined about a decision, or to make someone less determined. The unexpected results weakened the team's confidence in their hypothesis. Wear, face, verb. To show a particular emotion on your face. He wore a look of satisfaction after successfully completing the experiment. Wear thin, idiom. If a feeling or explanation starts to wear thin, it becomes weaker or harder to accept. The excuses for delayed results were starting to wear thin. Wear thin, idiom. If a feeling or explanation starts to wear thin, it becomes weaker or harder to accept. Excuses for late data submission soon wore thin with the supervisor. Weary, tired, adjective. Very tired. The field researchers were weary after a week of strenuous data collection. Weary of STHSB, adjective. Bored with something or someone. The students were weary of repetitive lab exercises. Weed, noun. A wild plant that you do not want to grow in your garden. The botanists identified several invasive weed species in the experimental plots. Weep, a verb. To cry, usually because you are sad. The ecologist wept upon seeing the forest devastated by illegal logging. Welfare, care, noun. Care or money provided by the government for people who are poor, ill, or who do not have jobs. The welfare program funded several nutrition studies in underprivileged communities. What with phrase. Used to talk about the reasons for a particular situation, especially a bad or difficult situation. What with budget cuts and staff shortages, the project was delayed. Whatever became of SBSTH? Asking what happened. What became of the initial prototype remains undocumented. Whenever, conjunction. Every time or any time. Whenever new data was collected, it was logged in the database immediately. Where SB stands, on STH. What your opinion is about something. We need to know where the committee stands on the funding request. Where SB stands, on STH, phrase. What your opinion is about something. The committee needed to know where each member stood on the new safety regulations. Where you stand, with SB. What someone thinks about you, how they expect you to behave, and how they are likely to behave. It's important to know where you stand with your supervisor before submitting the proposal. Where you stand, with SBE phrase. What someone thinks about you, how they expect you to behave, and how they are likely to behave. The advisor clarified where they stood with the graduate students regarding lab responsibilities. Whereabouts, adverb and noun. Used to ask in what place or area someone or something is. The ecologist asked for the whereabouts of the tagged wolves. Whereby, conjunction. By which. The method whereby samples are sterilized ensures no contamination. Whim, a noun. When you suddenly want to do something without having a reason. He planted exotic seeds on a whim during the garden experiment. White, face, adjective. Having a pale face because you are ill or you are feeling shocked. The student turned white when the chemical reaction went wrong. White, of white people, adjective. Relating to white people. This sense is socio-cultural and less relevant for scientific example sentences. Who would have thought? Phrase. Used to express how surprising something is. Who would have thought that the bacteria could survive in such extreme temperatures? Whole, adjective. As a single object and not in pieces. The scientist examined the fossil as a whole rather than in fragments. Wholeheartedly, adverb. In a completely enthusiastic way. The research team wholeheartedly supported the new methodology. Wholly, adverb. Completely. The experiment was wholly successful, confirming the hypothesis. Wicked, adjective. Extremely bad and morally wrong. The illegal dumping of toxic chemicals was a wicked act. Wield, verb. To hold a weapon or tool and look as if you are going to use it. The technician wielded the scalpel carefully during the dissection. Wield influence power etc. verb. To have a lot of influence or power over other people. The senior scientist wielded influence over funding decisions. Wild, weather, adjective. With a lot of wind, rain, etc. Wild weather disrupted field research for several days. Wilderness, a noun. A place that is in a completely natural state without houses, industry, roads, etc. The team studied wildlife in a remote wilderness area. Wildly, extremely, adverb. Extremely. The reaction in the experiment varied wildly under different conditions. Will, document, noun. An official statement of what a person has decided should be done with their money and property after their death. The scientists will included donations to scientific charities. Willing, wanting, adjective. Wanting to do something. She was willing to volunteer for additional laboratory shifts. Willpower, a noun. The ability to make yourself do difficult things or to stop yourself from doing enjoyable things that are bad for you. Strong willpower helped the researchers maintain strict experimental protocols. Win approval, respect, support, etc. Verb. To get approval, respect, support because of your skill and hard work. The project won the approval of the scientific committee. Wing, politics, noun. A group of people in an organization or political party who have the same beliefs. The environmental wing of the Research Council advocated for sustainable policies. Wink, verb. To quickly close and then open one eye, in order to be friendly or to show that something is a joke. He winked at the audience after demonstrating the experiment successfully. Wipe sth out or wipe out sth, verb. To destroy something completely. The wildfire wiped out several hectares of protected woodland. Wish, secret, noun. Something that you say secretly to yourself about what you want to have or happen. She made a wish to discover a new species, with bated breath, idiom. In an excited or anxious way. The team waited with bated breath for the spectrometer results. With bated breath, idiom. In an excited or anxious way. They waited with bated breath for the final test results. With the compliments of SB, phrase. Used by someone to express good wishes when they give you something free, for example in a restaurant. The museum offered entry tickets with the compliments of the director. With your bare hands, idiom. Without tools or weapons. Early hominins manipulated materials with their bare hands, enhancing tactile feedback. With your bare hands, countable noun. Without using a weapon or tool. He caught the small animal with his bare hands for the biology class demonstration. With your bare hands, idiom. Without using any type of tool or weapon when doing something that requires a lot of strength. The researchers moved the heavy rocks with their bare hands during excavation. Withdraw, competition, the verb. To decide that you will not now be in a race, competition, etc. The athlete withdrew from the competition due to injury. Withdrawal, money, noun. When you take money out of a bank account. A withdrawal from the university grant account was recorded. Withdrawal, not available, noun. When something is taken away so that it is no longer available, or when someone stops being involved in an activity. Withdrawal of the funding delayed the project. Withdrawn, adjective. Quiet and not talking to other people. The new graduate appeared withdrawn during lab meetings. Within, SBiz, reach. Possible for someone to achieve. Renewable energy solutions are now within reach of many developing countries. Within, SBiz, reach, phrase. Possible for someone to achieve. The research goal was within reach due to the new equipment. Within limits. Not extreme or excessive. Physical activity is beneficial within limits. Within limits, phrase. Avoiding behavior that is extreme or silly. The experiment was conducted within limits to ensure safety. Within reason. Acceptable and possible. Adjustments to the lab schedule are allowed within reason. Within reason, phrase. If something is within reason, it is acceptable and possible. Safety protocols were adjusted within reason to meet experimental needs. Withstand, the verb. To not be harmed or broken by something. The steel frame withstood the stress tests without any deformation. Woodland, noun. An area of land with a lot of trees. The study focused on biodiversity in temperate woodland. Word for word, phrase. Using the exact words that were originally used. The transcription was recorded word for word from the lecture. Work STH out or work out STH, understand the verb. To understand something or to find the answer to something by thinking about it. The students worked out the complex formula after hours of discussion. Workaholic, noun. Someone who works too much and does not have time to do anything else. The senior researcher was a workaholic, often staying late in the lab. Workforce, country, noun. All the people in a country who are able to do a job. The country's workforce includes thousands of scientists and technicians. Worship, noun. When you worship God or a god, often through praying or singing. Ancient cultures worship deities associated with natural phenomena. Worthless, money, adjective. Having no value in money. The old currency notes were worthless after the monetary reform. Worthy of attention, notice, etc., phrase. Deserving to be given attention, noticed, etc. The breakthrough study was worthy of attention by the entire scientific community. Would sooner. Would prefer. I would sooner repeat the experiment than rely on untested assumptions. Would sooner, phrase. Would prefer. He would sooner spend the day in the lab than attend the seminar. Would be, adjective. Wanting or trying to be. The would-be inventors presented their prototypes at the science fair. Wouldn't dream of doing STH. Used to say you would not do something wrong or silly. He wouldn't dream of falsifying experimental results. Wreck, person, noun. Someone who is in a bad physical or mental condition. After the failed experiment, the young researcher felt like a wreck. Wreck, vehicle, noun. A vehicle or ship that has been destroyed or badly damaged. The hurricane left the research vessel a total wreck. Wreck, verb. To destroy or badly damage something. The lab fire wrecked most of the experimental equipment. Wreckage, noun. The parts that remain of a car, ship, or aircraft that has been destroyed. Investigators collected the wreckage of the drone for analysis. Wretched, bad, adjective. Very bad or of poor quality. The report contained wretched data that could not be used. Wretched, unhappy, adjective. Very unhappy or ill. The scientist felt wretched after discovering errors in her published paper.